Thank you everyone for joining us today to the Oakville Ready Call How to Cook from Your Pantry and Fridge with Julia Hanna. We're really excited to have everybody join us today on this great call. Julia will be joining us shortly. She's going to show us how to make gnocchi and some sauces to go with it. Also, she's open to hearing from all of us about what items we might have in our pantries or our fridge. Any questions as such, please feel free to use the chat box, and we can go ahead and facilitate your questions to Julia. So this call is brought to you by Oakville Ready. Oakville Ready is a program that is co-propelled by the town of Oakville and the Halton Environmental Network. As a community, we have the responsibility to honor, care for, and respect all the creation gives to provide us with life. This includes the land, water, air, fire, animals, plants, and our ancestors. The Anishinaabe peoples have utilized this land for millennia, and we would like to acknowledge their direct descendants, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. They are the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land upon which we live, work, and conduct ourselves. We acknowledge our treaty relationships and responsibilities to both the land and these original peoples. We also recognize this land is rich in pre-contact history and customs, which include the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee, and since European contact has and continues to become home for Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. And it is in the spirit and intent of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement, whereby we will collectively care for and respect the land, water, animals, and each other in the interest of peace and friendship, and for the benefits of not only ourselves, but of our future descendants. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Lisa Kohler. I am the Executive Director at the Halton Environmental Network. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Tricia Henderson from the town of Oakville to take it away from here. Tricia?
Great, thank you, Lisa. I'm just going to take a moment or two just to explain the Oakville Ready program, as it is kind of the platform and the program that brought us together here today. So Oakville Ready was funded by the Oakville Community Foundation for a pilot program that started about 1.5 years ago. This pilot program was to establish 6 faith-based organizations that were to act as neighborhood hubs in instances of extreme weather or house fires. So really we're using faith-based organizations as a gathering place in times of flooding, localized flooding events, high winds that may cause power outages, ice storms, winter storms, things like that. So really it's a program of neighbors helping neighbors and just trying to build community resiliency through providing people with a safe place to meet, maybe charge electronics, get a warm cup of tea, and have a direct contact with the town's emergency management department on when the situation will kind of be rectified. So as Lisa mentioned, this is a partnership program with the town of Oakville, the Climate Action Department, and our Emergency Management Department, and the Halton Environment Network. Getting forward, perfect. So Oakville Ready was established to really help the town and our residents get through the first 1 to 4 hours after an extreme weather event. That's when we noticed a lot of residents, experience some stress and anxiety. When will the power be back on? When will the tree be removed from the road? Things like that. And so this is really a program put in place to kind of alleviate some of that stress for residents. So after an event happens, whether it's high wind, power outage, flood, fire, freezing rain event, the town will activate these hubs, and you're more than willing to go there and kind of talk to your neighbors, talk to the local faith leaders and the town of Oakville to see when the situation is going to be rectified. So as I mentioned, we put it into place over the last 1.5 years, and we have 7 resiliency hubs on board right now. So you can see their logos right there. We approached every faith-based organization within the boundaries of Oakville to participate in the program. And these 7 were chosen as part of the initial pilot project. Due to their location, their willingness, and you know, some of their facility details make them really good candidates for this program. We do have additional supports from Halton Region, their Emergency Management Department, Faith in the Common Good, and CREW, which is a neighborhood resiliency to extreme weather organization out of Toronto. So they've been key in helping us deliver and create the program. So as we know, as I just mentioned, this program really was put into place for climate change adaptation and building our resiliency to extreme weather. But in light of COVID-19 and physical distancing, we've really kind of pivoted the program, and we're working to build a virtual community and keep people engaged and in touch during this time of physical distancing. So we've worked with our faith-based organizations to try to put a lot of their services and programs online for them, and also working with them to conduct wellness checks within the community and within vulnerable populations of Oakville. We do have a website, it's oakvilleready.ca, and a Twitter account at Oakville Ready. Both of these are populated with great information on what we're experiencing right now, how to keep yourselves busy and entertained and relieve some stress and anxiety that you might be feeling with this situation. But we would like to caution you, if you really want any information on COVID-19 or what's going on in Halton Region, please refer to the Halton Region website at halton.ca. And if there's any personal questions that you need answers or any social services that you're wondering about, do not hesitate to dial 311 and they'll put you in touch there. Okay, so now why we're all here, and I'm very excited. I was telling Lisa earlier, I have very fond memories of making gnocchi with my Nona growing up. So I'm very excited for this webinar. So I'd like to introduce Julia Hanna. Julia began her impressive career in the culinary field at the age of 26 when she opened her first restaurant, Cafe Galleria in downtown Oakville. Since then, I don't have a complete list, but she has gone on to establish several successful restaurants in Oakville, including Paradiso, Restaurante Julia, which I love, is a Italiano themed restaurant, and most recently, and what she is most proud of, is her association with Healthy Family, which is a nonprofit organization that's working to connect, build children's knowledge through the use of food. And I believe it is a partnership with Longo's and a couple other organizations within town. Julia did receive the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award in recognition of her commitment to keeping Canada healthy. So that's fantastic. You can see the healthyfam.ca webpage at the bottom of this screen there, and you can get a full bio on all of her successes, mostly here within Oakville, which is just fantastic. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Julia. We can see her there in her kitchen. So please take it away.
Whole pandemic has done to our lives has turned it upside down. But there are some things that are coming out of this pandemic that we hadn't expected that are actually wonderful things. Like my sons have been cooking with me. Normally, to get my sons in the kitchen all together, it's quite a feat. But since we're stuck together now, they have no choice. And they're like, are you loving it?
Yeah,
you're loving it, aren't you?
Great. Yeah. No, I do love it. It is really nice.
The other brother's off, but he's not on camera, and he is
screen.
keeling over laughing. I'm going to get you on here next, okay?
Yeah.
So laugh away. So what, today that we wanted to do, share something with you that has meant a lot to our family and to a lot of our guests. I can see my sister. Hey, sis. I see my sister up there is watching too, and she knows.
Oh, yeah.
My mother is beyond, she's a force of nature. And she has made gnocchi in our restaurants for how many years now, Alex? 38 years?
Yeah,
38
at
years?
least.
Yeah, 88 is how I feel right
Yeah,
now. 38 years. And
kilograms each time.
Kilograms, like each
It's
time.
unbelievable.
25 kilograms at a time. She's actually made 50 kilograms.
Carrying a pot like as big as she is.
And she's like this big, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that she's not here because she can't be here is probably making our lives a lot easier.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Because she is very particular about how things are done. But so what's come out of this whole experience is an appreciation for her, and something that I've always talked about. I've talked about it with my sons. I've talked about it through Healthy Fam. Knowing how to prepare food is a life skill. And now that we've been forced into our kitchens, then maybe the positive that will come out of this is the realization that, you know, knowing how to prepare a meal will make you stronger, will make you healthier. You know, and restaurants are always going to be there, and we know that they're always going to, such a need for that place that you can go and have a great meal prepared for you. But how powerful is it to prepare your own food?
Yeah,
right?
and like when something like this happens during a pandemic and your access to food becomes a bit more precarious, we get to really, you know, realize how important this relationship is, right? And the experience of this really highlights how important it is to be able to cook for yourself and not have to depend on other, you know, institutions or third-party restaurants, whatever, to feed you, and to actually have that skill for yourself, which in turn will helps you enjoy food better because you really understand it, right?
Absolutely.
Enriching that connection, I think, is the most
Absolutely. And that's why we decided to do gnocchi today, because gnocchi.
It's very hard.
Well,
and it's the first time we made it in a while, so.
Oh my gosh, so we're nervous.
Some TV magic.
Okay, go ahead, say it. I'm nervous. Are you nervous? That's why I put you over there. I put him there to actually rice the potatoes and make the gnocchi. Because, you know, what is it about gnocchi? If you're not making them all the time, that first batch you make after not making them for a while is usually not as good as what
usually ends up in the garbage.
No. Well, let's hope it doesn't happen today. But it's such a simple one. Alex, when you said it's hard, tell them what's actually in gnocchi. The simplicity what's in
fundamentally, it's a super, super simple recipe if you're making the classic gnocchi. And it's literally just potato, egg, and flour and salt.
Right. Potato, egg, flour, and salt. So when you think about the fact that, what's that? That's nothing. And we're going to see it right now. So why don't we start working on ricing those potatoes? You
should say what we did to them before.
We boiled them.
Yeah, skin on is important.
Why is the skin on important?
Because like a lot of gnocchi, making gnocchi is the balance between like moisture and dryness, right? And if you boil the potatoes with the skin off, the potatoes will become saturated in the water, and then that'll in turn make the gnocchi more wet, which means you have to use more flour, and then the texture will be off. Okay, and the other secret to gnocchi is this. It is a touch. What's so satisfying about making gnocchi? It's all in the hands. So it doesn't matter what recipe you find online or the recipe that we're sharing today, it's almost irrelevant, because adjusting the gnocchi texture so that it comes out in a way that doesn't become complete mush or hard bullets, right? Because that could be one extreme or the other. And that's where that's where my admiration for Nona, for my mother, it's just amazing. And when you see these, you know, red sealed chef, certified chefs working alongside of her, and they can't. Well, remember when Nona left? Yeah. Oh, when she went on the holidays. She went on the holidays. Yeah. What happened? Tell us. No, like the head chef was struggling to make gnocchi. It's just so funny to see someone with so much culinary training. You know, struggling to make it. And it's not just to make gnocchi, like what we're doing, it's you know, it's simple, but it's to make it en masse like she made it. That was the interesting thing, is that she could make it in half the time anyone else could and double the quantity. And also magic happening. And also that was magic, but also understanding that, again, that is generation to generation. Actually, your thesis movie, he's getting his master's in film, and your thesis is about learning, like how we've generations before us learned through oral learning. And she saw her mother, her grandmother made them, and she passed it on to me. Well, not quite there yet. I'm still working on it, Alex. If you talk to my mother, but I'm still trying, right? And I think you're doing all right. Thanks, honey. Thank you, honey. So what are we going to do today? I'm going to tell them quickly what we're going to, the sauces that we're going to make to accompany this. Because I want to hear from you too, by the way. I want to hear, what do you have in your pantry? You know, throw some ideas at us, see what we can come up with what you have in your pantry. But what we want to get out of this for all of you is be fearless in the kitchen. Do not be afraid. Make the mistakes. If you had any idea of the mistakes that I've made in my own kitchen, which my family reminds me of often enough so I don't forget, the beauty of doing what we're doing is you start doing it with love. You start doing it because you love your family. You start doing it because you know it's important for you to have a connection to the food that you put in your body. And if you know, a few errors happen along the way, then that shouldn't sidetrack you. Just keep on going. The fact that you've been courageous enough to cook a meal
we should bow down and thank you, right?
Yeah, everyone makes mistakes. You know?
Okay, so what are the sauces? I got off track. So one of the sauces I'm going to make is the aglio olio, the famous olive oil and garlic. So simple.
Yeah,
and that's
with some butter in it.
You got to put a little butter.
Yeah, that's the richness. And if you add the oil, it stops the butter from burning, which is very important because butter burns at a low temperature.
100%, and it also gives it that sort of that creaminess. But by balancing with a little bit of olive oil that we put in this pan, and then we're going to add a little bit of butter, it's not as rich, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're going the whole other extreme, and we're going to go with a Decadent cream sauce, which is going to be butter.
Yeah, and 35% cream.
Go ahead, say the number again.
35. It's whipping cream.
35%.
You want the secret of a real, you know, when you make a cream sauce at home and you're like, oh, it's pretty good, but you go to a restaurant and it's so much richer.
Yeah.
This is like something you eat just sometimes. It's not the most healthy dish, but is it ever tasty? So yeah, 35% cream, whipping cream, it's the richest, and it'll reduce just itself to like a thick sauce. You don't have to add cornstarch or a roux. You don't need a thickening agent because the sauce will do it itself.
Right. And Decadent, and that's the thing about Decadent cooking and eating Decadent food. If it's natural and pure, it's really a treat, and it's a good treat, as opposed to things that are added into a dish to try to make it look like a really good cream sauce.
And it goes a long way, right? It stretches. You don't need a ton of sauce to cover a lot of pasta or gnocchi or whatever because it's so rich, right?
So what I'm doing is adding to both of these pans, and you're going to be able to guess which one is which in a minute. I'm adding a little bit of garlic to both of them. This is another secret, guys. Garlic is a real pain. What's your least favorite thing to do?
Peeling garlic. I buy the peeled, the ready.
See, you pal, we argue about that. I don't like the ready. I
don't care.
I know you don't care. Obviously, you can't buy the ready peeled, and then just puree it.
Yeah, so much easier.
Beginning of the week.
But if you get the one that's pureed already like this, it's terrible. Never buy it. It smells like a lemon and
it's wrong.
Gross.
Everything about it is wrong. Yeah. It's just wrong. But this is real garlic, just pureed. Put a little bit of olive oil. Put it in your fridge, and that way, when you have to cook, oh, you're not going on. Oh, now I got to do the garlic again, and oh, now I have to do the onions again. It's there in your fridge, and that's what I do every week. I have a pile of onions and garlic. My aromatics in the fridge ready to go.
Okay, I think we should show them what we're doing on over here.
Well, I put onions and a little bit of onion, chopped onions in both these dishes. About a teaspoon I'm putting in here, folks. Okay, go ahead.
So for the gnocchi, the first thing we did, we boiled the potato with the skin on, and then we left them to cool down a bit because it's pretty hard to do it when it's really hot. But the one thing that's good about when it's hot is the skin comes off easier. Regardless, I just use my hand. I didn't even use a knife, and I just pick the skin right off the potato. So we have our 3 potatoes here. And then what we have here is like a potato ricer. So this is used to kind of separate the potato before we whip it into the pasta, so it's not clunky and doesn't have chunks in it. It kind of opens it up, almost aerates it. You can also, like good tip, if you do get one of these, you can use them to make amazing mashed potatoes too. Like some of the best mashed potatoes come through this thing. So it's got multiple uses. So
how were they? Were they too cold or were they good?
They were good. We'll see. The hard part is if the potatoes are cold when you're doing this, it's a lot of like physical labor to get it to come through. But when they're warm, like they're still kind of warm now, it's almost like buttery. It comes through.
So right now I'm chopping up some cherry tomatoes while you're ricing over there because this is going to go my aglio olio sauce. And I like cutting them in half. You don't have to. You can just blister them and throw them in whole. I like cutting them in half. It's just
tell them what blistering is, Mom.
Oh, blistering. Well, I hate to say it, but actually it's like blistering. You heat it up enough so that the tomato actually opens up. Right? Ooh, look at that. Now I'm gonna put this really low because I don't want my cream sauce. Okay, the important thing, this here is the beginning part of a cream sauce. Stop it until you're ready to eat it. Because when you're going to have a cream sauce, and this is what's so great about this style of cooking, is that it's meant, by the minute, right then and there. So you can cook your gnocchi. As soon as you're just about 5 minutes away, your cream goes in there and your cheese. And we're going to add some fresh basil, right?
That's right.
So those gnocchi, because I have complete faith in my son, because I know we're going to make amazing gnocchi together.
We'll see.
But just in case. Look what I found. When we've been cooking for Kerr Street.
No, that's the secret. Don't show them.
Well, too late now.
Oh my God. This is the gnocchi we made today.
Yeah. We've been cooking for the Kerr Street mission. We've teamed up with Art House. They're doing an amazing job of getting to families that are in need. And today, we're cooking for 13 nurses at the Oakville hospital. And this is not in a normal kitchen, but And that's another dish next time we're on. That's just marinated chicken breasts with basil, with oregano, garlic, and onion. And from the base of this, marinate in your fridge. The next time we get together, we can show you 12 different dishes. But that's going to be the beginning of what we're making for the nurses tonight.
Exactly.
And we made them the caramel brownies too.
Oh,
Those are so decadent.
Those are dangerous.
Next time we cook together, that's what we're going to do. But the thing is, with the gnocchi, there's a secret to the touch, also a secret to when you cook them. And how are you doing there? You look like you're really I'm glad you're doing that.
No, it's not bad actually. It's not,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is like to just keep in mind when you are ricing, sometimes the potato can come out the side. You want to make sure you put it back in the ricer and put it through a second time, because you don't want, the last thing you want is chunks in your gnocchi. Because when you're rolling, like you'll see when we roll the gnocchi, it breaks apart, and that's the last thing you want. So make sure like this stuff that sticks here on the sides and stuff, I put it in and I always run it through a second time just to
and I just distracted you by not showing everybody, but I put about 1.5 cups of cream in there. And that cream is really gonna reduce. And when you have a cream sauce and it's that nice rich thick sauce but not too thick, and we see how that's gonna happen in just a little bit. So we've got our tomatoes in there. Throw that away over there for me, honey. Thank you. So let's get these going. I want to put some life with these. And what about artichokes? Canned artichokes. You can buy, like, now what I really love is that you can buy little jars of artichokes, right? Like you don't have to have this big massive thing. I love artichokes. Again, if you have in your fridge asparagus, throw in asparagus. If you have in your fridge zucchini, throw in zucchini if you like zucchini. If you have peas, throw some peas in there. Okay.
And it's important to say, like, this sauce, like, you could put anything in this. Like, this is the base of so many dishes. Like, you could use this sauce and you could pour it over your cooked chicken, and you could have it like that, or you could, you know, put other different pastas in there. You could even do it with rice. Like, it's limitless, right? This is just the base, you know?
Hey, so anybody come by out in the front there, Laura, come on by. I'm talking to my sister to come by and grab some of this. As much as I know these guys can probably eat all of this, we're going to be sharing, eh?
Yeah, we'll see.
Eh?
Okay, I'm going to crack the egg.
Okay, crack the egg.
So we're putting an egg into the mixture. So I'm just putting it in this bowl, and I'm just going to give it a little quick whip, and then I'm going to add it to the mixture.
I'm going to go behind you while you're being, there's a cloth. Can I steal that?
Yeah.
And as usual, my lifetime has been cleaning up after you. I will continue the tradition. Okay? Thanks, Ron.
Did you put the whole egg in, Mom, or half?
Put the whole egg. You
sure?
Yeah, take a chance, because I needed just the flour, right?
Too wet.
Okay. The rolling part is fun. My mother has made gnocchi for a lot of people, and some very interesting people. And interesting ones are always the nicest people, of course. My mother has no filter. If she feels it, Alex, she says it. So when we had Doug Ford in the kitchen, he was making gnocchi, and she stirred them up and out in a real hurry because his hands were too big and he was pressing too hard on the gnocchi. So look at that, I'm talking.
Or Stephen Harper when she interrupted him in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah. Said she had to go back and finish cooking. Yep, she's real. And she said something to me when I was complaining. I'm putting fresh basil in here, okay? I just chopped up some fresh basil.
And I'm putting in my mixture, I got my egg, my rice potatoes, and now I'm putting in 1.5 cups of flour to start. So we'll see what texture we get. It's really important, like I was telling Mom yesterday, all potatoes are kind of different. Some are more wet than others. So the flour is kind of like a guide, right? The real thing is the texture you get with the actual gnocchi. You might need more flour, you might need less. And a lot of that is figuring out through tests. Yeah, and testing, right? Like rolling one gnocchi and trying it and seeing if you like it.
In the water, trying it by throwing it in the hot water.
Yeah, and cooking it.
And I'll turn that on. And what am I going to do here, Alex?
1, 2, 1. Now I don't know how many cups I put in here. I think just one.
No, 2.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to remember how many I already put in there.
And you know what I'm going to do over here, because I have an extra pot anyway, just to show you how quick and easy it is to have a delicious meal. I'm going to make a straight tomato sauce here. Okay, again, my sister's watching, she'll like this one. The cream thing doesn't do it for her. Okay, here we go. And I want to hear, guys, whenever you want, please reach out to me, because I want to hear your stories around food through this epidemic. How's it affected you?
So we got the gnocchi in here. We're gonna start beating it. Just keep this in mind. I've done this without the KitchenAid. I've done it by hand, and it works.
Yeah, you don't have to have a KitchenAid.
You don't have to have this. It's important. You can just put it on the table, make a well, and mix it together by hand like you're kneading dough. Okay.
A tablespoon of onion, teaspoon of garlic in there. Then you're going to have to reach those cans of passata tomato. These tomatoes, these are great. They're called passata, which means pass through. One little, again, you get out all your aggravation when you're cooking. Usually that works so easily, right? There's not evaporating today. Oh, there we go. Okay. When that's ready, I'm going to throw that in. And that sauce with the passata, when you use passata, you can have an incredible tomato sauce in 15 minutes. So why buy a prepared tomato sauce? You can make your own. And if you want, when you're cooking, you can use, quadruple that recipe, get a bigger pot, and you make enough that you can, right? Just put in containers and you can put them in your freezer. So that when you just are exhausted and you just don't feel like cooking, having that backup in your freezer is going to, help you resist the temptation to ordering something that might not be as good for you. Except that right now, ordering in and taking food out is a gift to our industry. So
yes. Help out with takeout. And really important, make sure you contact the restaurant directly and don't go through different third-party delivery apps because they take a lot of money. If you really want to support local, call your restaurant directly.
How's that, honey? Is that coming along?
Coming along nicely. I think it needs more flour.
Okay, see? And you don't want to put it in there, right?
Yeah. And the issue, just remember, one thing to remember is don't, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you don't add too much flour or it becomes too gluteny, right? So you're trying to get that balance.
Gluteny? Did you say gluteny?
Yeah, gluteny.
Glutinous.
Yeah, glutinous.
Wow, I love.
And also another thing too is that you don't want to mix it too much because if you mix it too much, it becomes sticky. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
And when I'm making this tomato sauce, I like to put the aromatics. This is oregano that I'm putting in here. A little bit of fresh oregano, dry oregano. These days, dry oregano, dried basil. I always have that on hand because you don't always have fresh herbs, right? So I like to cook them in with the onions and the garlic because it just seems to like release the flavor a little more, right? And that's, I already have some chopped basil here ready and waiting for me. Okay. How you doing, Alex?
Good. I just added another half cup.
Well,
So I'm going through and feeling the texture. Just trying to. We'll show you when we start rolling what the texture should be, so you have an idea.
Hey, this is just like restaurant cooking. This is what chefs do. They have to have 10 different dishes going at the same time.
Yeah, but the whole thing is like we test as we cook. It's okay to try, try your sauce. Cook the first gnocchi. Oh, it's too hard, it's too soft. Add more, take it away. That's all part of it.
Also, when you use a passata, guys, put about a cup of water because all the good stuff, look, is in the bottom, and that's so thick that it won't give it enough time. It'll reduce to a paste, and this also gets you a lot more sauce, right? There you go.
No, my mom would be happy.
She would be very happy because you know what? You know what my mother said to me when I was, basically feeling the stress of this. She reminded me during the war that they were bombed. Thank you, baby. They were bombed during the war. We come from a town called Sora Pizzanone, just outside of Rome, and they were obviously targeted often during the war. And she would have to hide. They used to hide in caves on the mountain. The Sora is right in the base of the mountain. And she reminded me that when they did that, they didn't have any, she calls it skip. They didn't have any skips, which means that there was nobody that was delivering food to them. Because more than likely, they weren't really eating well. Okay. I also have some spinach to go in here too. Any vegetable that you like, throw it in your aglio olio. A little bit of butter, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onion. And the spinach I'm going to put in the end because if not, it'll overcook and you'll lose the.
Where are you going to roll? Here, right?
Right here. Yeah.
I'm going to put some flour.
Yeah.
When you want to test, you got to put some flour down too because it'll stick. So you want to make sure you just kind of flour out your area. I'm going to move that for you.
Thank you. Hey, I need the lids. I have to get my. Remember what Mama would say, right?
Okay,
There we go. See that? And you know how much tomato sauce you're getting out of two of these jars? you're going to get about 1.5 liters out of this, which is going to get you enough for about 10 orders, which is pretty darn good, right? And I add a little bit of salt, and I add just a tiny bit because you don't want to salt it until the very end, because once you put salt in, you can't take it out, right? How's it going?
Good, let's test some gnocchi.
You got it.
Well, let's test it, right?
Oh, a little too soft, a little mush. A little mush. Want to try one? But beautiful. I got a treat for you. Here, I'll take these gnocchi, put them all here.
Well, I want to cook these ones, see how they are.
Okay, here, here's the tray for you, David. Here, I'll put your, you want this on?
Yeah, hey, get that water from me. I'll take that tray. Thank you.
Okay,
So there's a tray, we put some flour on it, and then this is so the gnocchi doesn't sit on top of each other, because right when you roll it, it's a little, it's kind of soft. It'll harden up. You don't want it to stick. The water, once the gnocchi goes in the water, the flour just washes off.
Because soon as those are ready, because we may be able to save mom's gnocchi for another time, Alex?
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're coming out pretty darn good.
Yeah, they'll be good. I already feel like I think the mixture needs a bit more flour, but sometimes I rather test it first, because once you put too much flour, there's no going back, right?
Right.
You don't put enough, it's okay, we can go the other way.
Exactly. I wish everything was like that. Okay, so that he does in my kitchen. Are you going to stay around? You're going to stay around and clean it up for me, right?
No, I gotta be
I'm thinking of everybody out there. These are tough times. But what is this, these times, what has it taught us already? Alex, it's taught us that we need each other. We need to be with each other. We need to hold each other. We need to be able to touch one another. We need to have that contact. Also seeing that people that are struggling even more now. And that breaks my heart. It does break my heart. And I want to be keenly aware of those who are going to struggle even more to come out of this. And we're going to be there for them, aren't we, Alex?
That's right.
Okay. Okay, look at how healthy that looks. What do you see the gnocchi in that? Okay. Salt it out. I don't know. Did I put the base?
I think it needs more oil.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit more olive oil?
Yeah,
I think so too.
For the base.
Yep, I agree. Just a little bit more. Again, you want to have enough. And then we're going to show you something after too, that when you take the gnocchi out of the water, what you're going to do is have a little bit of water. If your sauce needs a little help, a little bit of water. When you pull it out, and I'll show you how we're going to do that, and just add a little bit of that water, and that gives you that pasta water is a miracle.
Yeah,
right?
it's like salted stock.
Yeah.
It's like pasta stock.
Oh, there's my lid.
Did you add butter in this too?
Yes. What are you checking my hand? What do you think? Good?
Yeah, straight.
Okay, I'm going to show you something. My grandmother. Okay, this took me a long time to ever admit this, but my grandmother's sauce, nobody could figure out what's so amazing about it, right?
No, you can put sugar in it.
Just like a tad, not like those bottled sauces.
Very, very controversial in the Italian community.
Yeah. And
to add or not add sugar.
You know what it is? Taste the tomatoes first.
Personally, I'm a no sugar person.
So am I.
Yeah.
So am I, 100%. But let's be real. Let's be real. If the tomatoes are too acidity, right?
Yeah, it's almost like you do it just to cut the acidity of the tomato and not to make it sweet, but to cut the pH, literally, like the acid level of it.
And you want to know how much you put in? All of this?
Yeah, just a bit.
A quarter of a teaspoon.
Anymore, you're getting into Eastside Mario's territory. You want to stay out of there.
Alex. No, but seriously, that's like not even a quarter. And that's just to cut. And don't get carried away with that. First, taste the tomatoes. And if it's a tomato sauce, which is a traditional tomato sauce that usually simmers for about we simmer for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
If it's a sauce that you're simmering for a long time, do not add any sugar. Yeah. You want to use this? Well, I need this. And here's the lid for this. Okay. Beautiful. Let's start cutting some more.
But I want to test it first.
Well, yeah, but you want to they're good, Alex. I'm pretty sure they're great.
I don't think so. I think they need more flour.
I would add just a little more flour.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah. Trust me.
I just want, is the water, when the water's boiling.
Yeah, I know, honey. It does need a little more flour. Okay, because if they're too mushy, too soft, they sort of disintegrate. You don't get that gnocchi. You want to get that bit of a bite in the gnocchi, right? What do you think?
Yeah, totally.
This is so much fun to do with kids. Like, do this at home. Make your gnocchi at home. Give her a shot. Take a chance. Call me up. Call Alex up. We'll walk you through it. Don't be afraid. Be fearless in the kitchen, because that's where you will get the greatest joy. Because when you make a meal like gnocchi, you made it yourself, you share it with your family, there is just no better feeling in the world, right? And we've been cooking, like, and it's crazy. I have now, what's come out of this also, what's another incredible thing that's come through, is the fact that I have an appreciation. Like, I've always appreciated our staff. They're amazing and the work they do. But until you don't have them to support what you do, you just don't realize how hard their job is and how much they do. So to all of my chefs and all of my staff in the kitchen and in the dining room, God, do I miss you? And boy, is it a lot harder than stuff you around. So can't wait to get back. Are you ready, baby? Huh? Good? Okay.
Let's see.
Let me see now.
Yeah, grab some.
Oh, it's just not right. Okay, now we're a little more. No, we're there. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to make one. Let's get that boiling. I want to add some Parmesan cheese to this too. Alex, we have some Parmesan cheese, right? I know we put it somewhere.
Yeah, the parm is right in the
right
front there.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, this is feeling pretty good.
Okay, we're just about ready to eat, folks. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I want to hear from you. I want to answer any questions we can. And we just like talking to you. I was just talking to Alex. It's fun, but we've been cooking together a lot lately. Okay. Well, Alex, that's beautiful, honey. Like, seriously, fantastic. What is that? It's boiled potatoes, flour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's take this out of here too so people can see better. Hey, can I come and help you move over and help you roll?
Sure, let's just set it up first.
This is just about ready to go. I'm going to do something here. Oh, don't burn yourself, Julia. You should know better than that.
Is that water boiling one?
I'm boiling this one here, honey, because this is the powerful burn.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll boil. Okay, now the sauce. Once it comes to a boil, bring it down to a nice simmer, okay? And that tomato sauce, like, seriously, we've got an hour to do this, and you're going to see within an hour that you're going to have all three of these dishes. And we did this in an hour. So you can do this at home. You're not going to be doing all three at once, unless you're crazy, and I know you're not. You're going to do these one at a time with a little bit of salad or some nice fresh bread, and you're good, right? Okay, Alex?
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, just making sure. Yeah, when you're doing them, always remember to flour your hands too.
Right.
Or then they're going to turn into a gnocchi. How are we doing here?
Okay. So did I have not added salt? Oh, and when you're cooking with butter, if it's salted butter or unsalted butter, it all depends. You add a little bit of salt if it's unsalted, obviously, and just taste it to make sure you're not adding too much of it is salted butter. Because I think most people, normally you cook with unsalted butter, but I'm married to a man who likes salt in his butter, so I've had to learn to adjust. Hey, the sacrifices I make, huh? All right, Alex. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, and to this cream sauce, it's going to be delicious. It's going to be, you know what I'm going to do, Alex? I'm going to make an Alfredo.
Yeah, that's
Why
nice.
don't I show them how to make an Alfredo, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, everybody loves that. Get into my fridge, pull out a egg. We're going to show you what makes it an Alfredo. I am, like, really impressed because, Alex, that dough, I can tell, is gorgeous. Okay. Okay, Alfredo. So this is going to be about for 2 to 4 people. Yolk, but one yolk just to be a little healthier. Okay, so make sure you get rid of the egg whites. You can use those to make an omelet if you want. When you put your yolk in, please make sure when you put the yolk in that the sauce isn't too hot. Because if you do, if this was really boiling, you might have like a scrambled egg. So now,
Yeah, that's the tough part. You want to make sure
right,
you do that.
you want to make sure you want to have it warm, but you don't want it hot and boiling yet. See, look at that. And this is going to thicken the sauce too. The egg yolk will thicken it, give it a little bit more texture. Also, prosciutto, if you like prosciutto. when you're sauteing the garlic and the onions, you add some sliced prosciutto to that, and then you have a carbonara. Are you ready, honey?
I want to add the test ones. See how you go.
Test. Okay, gotta have more faith in yourself, but that's smart thing
Why?
to do.
It's good. It's not
Very
a
smart.
matter of faith. It's
I
just a
agree.
matter of, being pragmatic and trying to make good gnocchi.
I knew you were gonna call me out.
There's no ego.
As soon as I
no
slipped
ego
that
here.
out, I knew you were gonna call me on it. Okay, basil. Line up 2 or 3 little basil. Oh, Alex.
Mhm.
They came right to the top, eh?
No, they didn't.
You gotta leave them though now.
No, you don't. You have to make sure they're unstuck.
Oh,
Yeah, well.
put them in your stir once, and then you gotta wait till they.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but you have to make sure they're not stuck when you first put it
Yeah,
on, right?
yeah,
Or
but you-
together. So
but
you have
yeah.
to stir them when you put it in.
Right.
That's what I was doing.
Okay,
What's that?
I've been told.
Move that lid. Get a shot. Then we've got some questions from the audience.
Yes. Oh, I want to hear. Ask.
So from Tracy, she says she loves the gnocchi at your restaurant.
Hi, Tracy.
She would like to know what she can make with quinoa, basmati rice, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, black beans, and coconut milk.
Oh my gosh, she's got heaven.
Mm.
The basmati rice, cook it in coconut milk. Do a 1-in-1. So if it's a can, a 2-to-1 ratio between coconut milk and water. Okay, basmati rice and black beans. Add with black beans. And what else does she have in there?
So there was black beans,
Yeah.
coconut milk, canned chickpeas, and gluten-free pasta. All
Oh,
those all together. So
okay.
quinoa, basmati rice, diced canned tomatoes, tomato paste, black beans, coconut milk.
Coconut milk. I will make the coconut milk basmati rice with the black beans. We used to make that at Julia's all the time. Absolutely delicious.
Together.
And you cook the basmati in the coconut milk and water, okay? And add the black beans. Delish, right?
Very
The
nice.
quinoa, you can use the quinoa, the chickpeas for the quinoa. And what would you do with that, Alex? I'd make like maybe a salad from it?
Yeah, you could do that. That's always nice to cook a bunch of quinoa, let it cool down. You can use it for tons of different salads. You can add it to like arugula and spinach base to kind of give
And
a
you
little bit
can
more
make
fiber
A
protein.
very simple, like if you have any oils like olive oil and balsamic vinegar, whip it together, a little bit of salt and pepper, and you can toss a quinoa on that. You can also take those tomatoes that you have, those canned tomatoes,
Yeah.
do what I just did here with the garlic and onions and cook the canned tomatoes. And you could add the quinoa and the chickpeas to that.
Mhm.
Cook chickpeas to
Yeah,
that.
that'd be really good.
That would be tasty too.
And we have a question from
Okay, go
Hannah.
ahead.
She's wondering, where do you buy a good ricer?
Oh, good question, because there's not too many, that's hard to find, eh?
Well, most kitchen stores have them. If it's like a kitchen specific store,
Right.
they should have them. I got a ricer not too long ago. I had a gnocchi party at my house, so
Yeah.
I didn't realize it now. And yeah, it was good. You want to make sure that it's built strong because, like I said, some of the potatoes you really want to make sure they're
I'm gonna take some of these and start adding.
And speaking of the potatoes, one of the questions is what kind of potatoes are best
Oh.
to use?
Big argument there. That you can get into a universal argument on that, but Yukon Gold seems to favor for me and for my mother. She likes them. Okay, Alex, I want to start putting in gnocchi. Okay, this is so important. Alex, those are fantastic, buddy.
these ones.
Pretty impressive.
I've made a lot of gnocchi.
Yeah. Where's Nona now? She'd be so proud.
Another trick that we would do that actually Nona taught me is if you use, like this is a really sharp knife, right? If you use a dollar knife when you cut the gnocchi, it creates like little pillows when you cut it because
Yes.
the knife is so dull that it like pushes it down.
Yeah.
If you have a sharp knife,
Look.
it just cleanly cuts it and you don't get as much of a pillow. So I know everyone's got a dull knife kicking around in their kitchen.
Okay, so throw me
It
some more gnocchi in here because
Okay, what's
now
that?
this is what you would be doing if you're making these at home. You make them at home, you put them on a tray like that with flour,
Yeah, we need
you
a
cook them up.
ice bucket to put
No,
it
wait, we're not gonna do that today. Normally you would take a bucket with ice in it, and as soon as they come out, you drop them in the ice bucket to cool them down immediately so that you can cook them later with any sauce you want. But because today, honey, we got the sauces all here ready to go, right?
But why did we do that with the ice bucket?
Why do we do that with the ice bucket? Because you want to stop
Wanna
cooking
cool
it.
them
I mean,
down.
you want to cool
Or
them
they're
down
gonna stick.
immediately, and they'll stick. So you have to make sure. So when you're doing this, you have to make sure that it's always got enough ice. Because when you put the gnocchi in the bucket, if the water warms up, the gnocchi will continue cooking, and they'll possibly stick together. So you have and you have to have a nice ratio of water to it too. I mean, we can show how to do that now, but I think we're gonna be cooking it all here anyway, right? So I don't even know if I'm gonna be using any of Mom's. Wow, Alex. You're high.
So what I'm doing is I kind of formed the gnocchi into like almost like a loaf. And then I'm cutting these little strips. It's almost like a bread loaf. I'm cutting these strips and then I'm rolling them into long lines. So I cut a strip about that big, maybe that's a bit bigger. So I'll throw that piece off. About that, I kind of form it into a log in my hands. I put some flour down on the board and I push. You want to actually use a bit of force, but not too much force like Doug Ford did when I got mad at him. And you want to be real gentle with it. But you also want to like, make sure that you're putting enough force that you're actually forming it into a longer line. So I call them like little snakes. So you want an even snake that's same diameter all the way around. Have fun with it, and then you kind of roll them together. So once, let's say I have like 2 or 3 here, I have a line or whatever, I cut them all at once to make it more efficient. So I'm not doing one line by one, right? And then I kind of just come on an axis, and I just chop it.
And tell them you've made gnocchi all over the world, right? Alex is a filmmaker. He's a filmmaker, and he has traveled all over the world. And what's the universal way of communicating for you has been what?
Food.
Exactly.
I met my partner, my ex-partner, who was German, and the first time I met her parents, she wasn't there, and I didn't speak German, and they didn't speak English, and I didn't know what to do. And then I saw they had a dusty pasta maker up on the shelf. So I grabbed that thing down and we just made pasta together. And we spent the whole night, almost 4 hours, having dinner, enjoying each other's company, cooking, and none of us even spoke the same language. It was all through food.
I think this is going to reconnect us to food. I think this pandemic is going to make us more aware that what's the most important thing is that we are together. We spend time together. And there is nothing that brings you together like food does. And we all share it in common. We all have to eat. But sharing food together at a table is the most, how about the words I want to use to describe it? It's inviting, it's warm, it's where you feel you belong. Mm-hmm. Even when you're arguing, because growing up in my household, and my son might even agree, even in our house, doesn't mean that communication was always going to be blissful like in the movies, but the fact that you felt that you were connected to those people at the table. And
it's evolutionary in a way,
It's evolutionary, and not just your own immediate family. Make your own family. Make your own family. It may not be your immediate family. They may not be close to you, but you can make a family with food, right, Alex?
Yeah, to me, food is the conduit of connection.
Right.
Well, we've got some more questions from.
Sure, I want to hear.
So how about we have a question from Amanda, who's wondering, how long does garlic keep in the fridge?
Oh,
and
good.
Can you freeze it?
Good question.
Great question.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to show you by opening up my freezer. These are wonderful little things you can buy, already chopped garlic. Amazing. I have this, and I've used up all my own. I usually have a bag of chopped garlic of my own. And what I do is just chop it, put it on parchment paper like we have here, and then put it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, it can go into a little bag. And you just take out what you need. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And in the fridge, if it's in oil, it can stay in the fridge for at least 1 week. No more than a week.
Chopped in the fridge, it'll stay for a week.
Oh yeah.
And you can freeze it easily.
Yeah, freezing is the best because like any of these bases is going to involve like onion and garlic when you start, right? So the more you have, like you're really saving a lot of time.
That's actually a really good point, and that's another question. So from Jody, she says she has an onion and garlic intolerance.
Okay.
Any ideas for?
Oh God, herbs. Herbs are your best friend. Herbs. Did you see? That's too bad to have an intolerance to that. But you know something? It's not uncommon. Yeah. It's happening more and more and more.
Like
so
what about like leeks and green onion and these kind of other types of onions, right?
I think it's just part of the onion family. Probably not, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, right? Yeah. Well, what
That's
you can do you know what I just did with the oil? I don't know if you saw that earlier when I was heating the oil up for this tomato sauce with the garlic. I heated the oil. If you want to do something so that you can have flavor, oil or butter, and heat the spices or the herbs in the oil, because that will really release the flavors. And more like warm it up. Don't get it too hot too fast because it'll burn. Paprika, believe it or not, paprika in oil heated up has got this incredible flavor too. But herbs, fresh herbs, and you know what? Do sofrito. A sofrito is the aromatic base, and mirepoix it's called in French, but it has onions. Eliminate the onions. Carrots and celery, finely diced with herbs, right? And tomatoes can make you a really wicked sauce without the onions and garlic. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes.
And so Andrea is wondering, can you freeze this gnocchi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
We
where
literally did.
that's where that all enormous came from.
That's where the backup known as gnocchi came if we failed on camera.
Yeah. We were not taking chances. Even this was going to be real. We wanted to be real here. And we are being real, actually. We didn't prep for this as much as we normally prep for the cooking show because we didn't want it.
And you want mistakes to happen when you're doing this because that's how you learn, right?
Like the two gnocchi that are on the floor right there that I'm going to try not to step on when I flip my pot. Ooh, look at that tomato sauce, Alex. That's going to be good. Okay, so this is good. And
Gnocchi looking.
yeah, and I'm gonna, this is just about ready, this one here. Keep my gnocchi coming because we're just about to get to eat. I'm gonna plate some of these, honey. So I'm gonna clear off this area here. I am gonna, excuse me for a sec while I bend down and grab the gnocchi that I just killed on the board. Okay, go over here. Let's grab a couple of bowls. Matthew, can you reach these two white bowls? Three white bowls up there. Okay. And, wow, that's about ready to eat. I wish you could be here with me because it's no fun. It really is no fun eating alone, really. So if you know of anyone who's eating alone, you can't sit with them and physically be with them right now, reach out to them and talk to them. What's helped me, I've connected to people I haven't talked to in a long time because I now have time to do so. So let's try to make this less painful. And if there's ever any doubt that I need my family and my friends and I needed to see them, if there was any doubt that I love my restaurant and just seeing all the wonderful people that come in it, boy, oh boy, if anyone hears me ever complain again, you can give me a shot in the head. Yes.
A question. There's a question from Kay that has a lactose intolerance.
Oh yes.
Wondering what can they use instead of cream?
Don't use cream.
So,
you know, don't use cream. Look at this oleo, right?
yes.
Don't have to use the butter, right? Even if it's butter, if that bothers you, but if it's just lactose, you don't need cream. You know, I have never tried cooking with kefir or almond milk or coconut milk.
Yeah, coconut milk is a good.
Coconut milk is fantastic. Coconut milk is fabulous to cook with. Just like we talked about earlier with someone who called about the basmati rice and coconut milk, you can do a wonderful pasta dish with coconut milk too, right? Now, coconut milk is dairy-free, right? Am I just saying something really crazy here? Of course, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if I'm not, somebody correct me quickly. Okay? All right, so I need now, I'm gonna put this up on nice and high because I want this to be nice and thick, this sauce. This one's ready to go. This is beautiful. I want to add some cheese to this one too. Actually, I won't add cheese. I'm just going to garnish it with cheese. I took some of the sauce out of there, put it in here because this sauce I'm saving for later. That's going to go in either containers for later. Alex, once you give me that gnocchi there, we're going to put it right here, honey. And then, watch. We're going to have time just to quickly plate everything here. If you wipe down that counter, Alex, I'll bring the bowls over and we can eat together. Any questions? Yeah.
So from Tracy, she's wondering what's
Yes.
what to cook with carrot, potatoes, zucchini, onion, broccoli, and tomato.
Oh, phew, heaven. Take all of those vegetables. First of all, carrot, zucchini. Zucchini you can roast. Slice it thin and roast it. And it goes fantastic in a sandwich. But you can take all those, okay, carrots, onions. Did you say onions, carrots, zucchini?
Yeah, onions, carrot, zucchini,
Right.
broccoli, and
Right.
tomato.
Oh my gosh. Okay. The broccoli, again, you could take broccoli and roast it in the oven with olive oil and some Parmesan cheese. But you can take all those vegetables that you have, dice them up, just like we did here, with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic. You can do it in the cream sauce. You can add any of those vegetables to any one of these pasta dishes. But on their own, if you cut those vegetables up in sort of even size, carrots will have to go in first. So any of your harder vegetables first, you can roast them all in the sheet pan with just a little bit of olive oil and salt. But remember, when you roast them in the sheet pan, different vegetables take a little more time than others. And they're just fantastic to eat, like that little bit of balsamic reduction on top. Kevin. Okay.
We got from Susan, says she's drooling on her keyboard.
Tell Susan I love her. That's my, oh my gosh. I love her. I tell you, my Nona Mema used to say that she never trusted anybody who didn't like to eat. And when we were kids, we didn't understand what she meant by that. But what she meant was people who enjoy food, enjoy life, and aren't afraid to enjoy life.
And people
Yes.
are wondering if the recipes will be available on your Facebook page after.
Okay, we'll get those recipes. We have all those recipes for them, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
We can compile one to put up there.
Okay, so Alex, put those bowls out, honey. Matthew, walk those bowls for us.
Yep.
I'm going to put this one here, this one here, this one. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh basil, give it a little bit of color and life. There you go. Dun, 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 dun. One more for you. Which one do you want to plate, honey?
I'll do yo-yo-yo.
You do the yellow? Yeah, that's right up here. Right up here.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, doesn't it, honey? Okay, plate a bowl of that, and then I will plate. Oh, did you almost?
Almost dropped it. It's a weird handle on this thing. It's like kind of like.
Yeah. That would have been great to catch on camera, right? Okay, I'll leave a little bit in the pan because we want to feed others. Hey, please, everyone, stay in touch with us. We need to hear from you. I just love knowing that you're out there. I just can't wait to feed you again in our restaurant. But the fact that you're interested in trying to make gnocchi, you're inspiring me today by being here. Okay, ready? And a little bit of, let's do a little bit of.
We got a little bit of grated parm on top, and then I'm gonna garnish it with actual pieces.
Okay.
Shaved parm.
Right.
Then I'm gonna throw a little bit of fresh basil on top.
I love the way, do you see Alex's are heapy? That's my boy. Okay, which one do you want to try, honey? I wanted to try one like that. Perfect. Okay. Presentation, Madame used to say you eat with your eyes first, right? And it's important that food looks good too. But it tastes better when you're eating it with someone you love. It tastes better. And
I think the one I
people,
plated looks the best.
okay.
What does everyone else think?
You know, you often in your life have left me speechless. This is one of those times. As I'm looking at my stove that you got all this flour on, who's going to clean this?
Who's going to make gnocchi without making a mess?
Oh my.
Nobody.
No, Nona would never make a mess like this.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to clean it first. Mm. I hope that, I think we're out of time. I think we're done, right? Any more questions or are we done? Are we wrapping
No,
up?
that looks like it's it.
Good. Well, not good. Because I
Look
hate
at
to
that.
leave you.
That's
Okay.
beautiful.
You did really great, okay? And Alex doesn't make gnocchi all the time. And look how quickly he put that together. So feel inspired to go ahead and try. Cook in your kitchen. Enjoy your time. We're forced in there now. Let's enjoy it. Let's use this time to flex our culinary muscle and be fearless and be together and be safe. Because we're going to all be there together when this is all said and done. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thank you very much for this
Stay safe.
opportunity.
Thank you so much, Julia. Oh my gosh, I am hungry. I bet the rest of you guys
Yeah.
are too. That was amazing. And we thank Julia so very much for welcoming us into her home, showing us how to make those amazing gnocchi and sharing this time. Again, you can check out Julia Hanna by going to Healthy Fam website. She does have a Return to the Table TV show on your TV. That is still being on, it's through Kojiko, Channel 23, I believe, here in Oakville. And thank you everybody for joining us. Oakville Ready, our website, www.oakvilleready. Please feel free to head over there. Within the next 24 hours, we will have this webinar up and posted. If you go to the general resources section and look under webinars, there will be the recording there. And we will try to make a note to link this recipe to Julia's Facebook page so that we can share the recipe with you all as well. What's next for Oakville Ready? Next week, we're super excited about, let's talk about how we make Everyday Earth Day, getting back to the roots here of the Halton Environmental Network and the Climate Action Team at the town of Oakville. We're going to share our 3 top actions with you that we do every day, and we want to hear from you. What do you do to make Earth Day every day? So that's happening on Earth Day, April 22nd. Big news too, the Halton Environmental Network will be doing a live Netflix screening party with Big Little Farm. We can't wait to do that. More information will be following on our social media. And we are also doing another webinar with the town of Oakville, all about our community and all the great and wonderful things that Oakville is doing together to come together during this challenging time. If you have an idea about another webinar, reach out. Text us, email us, let us know. You can reach out to Trisha at trisha.henderson@oakville.ca, and me, I'm Lisa. You can reach out to me at lisak@haltonenvironment.ca. Thank you everyone for joining us. Be well, be safe, stay indoors, and we can't wait to see you next time. Take care.